Here we go, we finally got a first look at Odin's All-Father armor set, which has been heavily promoted by Ubisoft across all platforms, and now we can have a deep dive perusal over its capabilities, as well as the fiery Warsong Atgeir weapon, the All-Father shield, their Aesir Eye Valkyrie bow, and all the other bells and whistles such as the Gullinbursti mount, the mechanical raven, and finally the Skidbladnir ship gifted to Odin by Freya. That is a lot to talk about. It all looks really interesting, and this is all thanks to Peda and Ibsarp, who are bringing this to us. As it's all been found in the game files, that means it is subject to change, but just like everything else they've whipped up for us, it all looks concrete to me, and it will be available for you to get in the Dawn of Ragnarok DLC on March the 10th. Now let's first break down the All-Father armor set, and it's described as being expertly woven to minimize rustling and ornamental counterweights to steady the wearer's movement. It's precisely tailored to protect from any temperature, which is most certainly going to be needed as we're going to be dancing in and out of the fire and ice in this DLC. But moving straight into the stats though, and I don't want to dunk on this armor set because, to be honest with you, I really want this to be stellar, but we pick up a chance to increase adrenaline gain on a headshot or a weak point hit. Now that's a 50% chance at increasing that adrenaline gain, with it multiplying to a maximum multiplier of 3. On top of that, we also pick up a plus 25 headshot damage bonus by equipping the whole 5 out of 5 set. Now my initial thoughts on this, it's not fantastic. However, this set is most certainly built around the mechanical aspect of the new Odin abilities and to maximize their use. As such, because we haven't yet played with these new abilities or explored their limitations, it's difficult to accurately say if these stats are trash or not, because an adrenaline gain buff in this new DLC could be incredibly beneficial when using all of the new skills, abilities and powers that do become available to us. So for now, I'll remain cautiously optimistic and on the fence about these bonuses, but if I'm judging this set on being worn in the current Valhalla landscape, then I'd say for a very famous Odin armor set, this isn't great. As for the appearance though, if you want to feel like the All-Father himself in Svartalfheim, then this armor set is a no-brainer. I think Ubisoft designers and the developers have done a great job at creating something here that looks like Odin would wear. The blues, greens and gold are all subtle nods to royalty, and the feathers on the shoulders emphasize his status as a Raven Lord and the god of all gods. Now one thing I do want to mention before we move on to the Aesir weapons is that this armor set will be obtainable by purchasing it at Kara's shop, who is a Valkyrie that runs a fighting arena. Big shout out to Peda for finding that detail about 6 months ago, and I'm going to be breaking down the Valkyrie arena in another video soon. And by the way, if you've enjoyed the video so far or learned anything new, and only if you wouldn't mind, a very quick like down below really does help me out, so cheers for your support. I genuinely really appreciate it. Now let's break down the Aesir Eye. It's a bow worthy of Odin, and it's treasured by the Valkyries as the ultimate war weapon. Stat wise, we pick up 1 adrenaline bar when we manage to land a fully charged headshot on an NPC, and I think this has the potential to be excellent because, as you can see in the footage released by Ubisoft, there's been quite a bit of emphasis on Odin utilizing his bow, and I think you could instantly return all of your adrenaline bars once you send a volley of arrows into a crowd of mossballs. There doesn't seem to be any mention of a cap on it, so I think that is possible, and this also threads well into the plus 25 headshot damage bonus on the Odin's armor set as well. So as I mentioned, let's not count our chickens before they hatch. This set and these bonuses could prove to be very significant in this new DLC. I am also a fan when it comes to the bow's appearance. I will 100% be using this as a transmog option if it's not too good in combat. I think it looks classy and deadly, all wrapped into one delightful Aesir package. The subtle gold inflections combined with the swirling patterns chiseled into the bow's frame make it an unquestionable winner in my eyes. Now next up, and it's all about the All-Father's Guard, a shield built for the god amongst all gods himself. It's again described as being another weapon treasured by the Valkyries, and that gets me thinking that just like the Odin armor set itself, this shield and the bow combined will all be purchasable for completing challenges at the Valkyrie arena. Now that's just speculation from me there, but it would make sense in regard to what we're kind of being told here. However, the stats aren't anything to shout home about, to be fair, if we're basing the abilities on the current game mechanics and excluding the Ragnarok DLC changes. Equipping it provides us with an increase in ability damage when parrying, and that lasts for 10 seconds and gives you a plus 20 ability damage buff. So in theory, when you're in combat, you're firing off your bow to pick up multiple headshots, so you're stacking that adrenaline. You then drop a parry with the shield and start absolutely spamming your new Dawn of Ragnarok Ragnarok abilities and Odin powers in combat to maximize the use of this set. Now when it comes to appearance, you may have noticed the Celtic triquetra on the front of the shield, and my apologies for the pronunciation there, but in Norse mythology it is also known as the Trinity knot, which symbolizes eternal spiritual life, which is also believed to have no beginning or end. I think that's very fitting for a god who's trying to stop Ragnarok. I do love these small details. Good work to the devs, I say. And let's move on to the fiery Warsong. This is the Atgeir weapon Odin uses in the cinematic trailer, and I think this is a bit of a beast, to be honest with you. The weapon proactively sets itself on fire when you're surrounded by more than 3 enemies with only a 5-second cooldown, and I think this is the perfect Atgeir weapon for the fire giant armor set I recently covered in another video, and I'll pop that at the end of this one if you haven't already seen it. But if you are the type of player who likes to swan dive into battle with a big hitting weapon with lots of bravado and no messing around, then I think this weapon is most certainly for you. That being said, it does come with a catch. Peder has mentioned that the weapon has actually been broken into 3 parts, and once you collect them all, you can then ask a dwarven blacksmith to reforge the weapon itself. These are called the broken blade pieces, and it's currently unknown how we get them, but I'm looking forward to finding out how to do so in game. Now aesthetically, I think it's a very well put together weapon that looks like Muspel in origin, but also looks like it has some solid Aesir elements threading through the design. I think it's a great in-between option and would look solid with any creative transmog outfit you decide to whip up, whether that be the Fire Giant armor set or the Allfather one itself. So in short, an encouraging weapon here, best I've seen so far in terms of utility, and I'm also looking forward to giving this weapon a whirl in game. Now you may have also seen from the gameplay footage and trailers recently released by Ubisoft, and we're actually going to be picking up a boar mount. It's actually called Gullinbursti mount, and it's described in the codex as being an obedient iron boar that was created by Brock and Sindri as one of the legendary gifts to the Aesir gods. In Norse mythology, the boar was crafted in response to a bet made between the dwarves and Loki claimed that they actually couldn't make anything as good as the sons of Ivaldi dwarves, who had gone on to make the Skidbladnir, which is a magical ship that belonged to the Vanir god Freyr. And of course, wouldn't you know, Peder and Ibsarp have also found that too. It's described as the greatest of all ships, so wide and long that it could hold every Aesir and carry them into battle. It was able to fly in the air, sail on the sea, and never fails to have wind in its sails. You may have also seen in the trailer that you can summon this ship when you're near water by just throwing a miniature into the water itself. I think that's a cool looking mechanic, and I'm intrigued to try this out. But ship aside, we've also got ourselves a mechanical raven, and it's noted as being a marvelous bird that has been handcrafted by the ingenious dwarven engineers. It's everything I'd expect a black mechanical raven to be, and it is certainly something I will be equipping as well for the full Ragnarok immersion. Now Odin and all of these cool things aside, I've also got another preview for you here, thanks to Peder and Ibsarp. It's called the Hreidmar's Cursed and Blessed Armor set. We've got 2 for the price of 1 here, and it has probably the most interesting stat bonuses I've seen yet. So make sure you click the notification bell if you haven't already done so you can be the first to know when that video drops. Anyway, big thanks again to Peder and Ibsarp for bringing us this first look. I'll catch you in the Hreidmar armor set video soon if it's not already up on your screen by the time you watch this. Cheers for stopping by though, and as usual, coffee's on me.